How's it going, my evil residents? A few days ago, I asked you guys what you do not want to see in Resident Evil Requiem. Just things in general you want Capcom to avoid, not include, just stuff like that. I took some of your comments and I compiled them into this little video for you, and I'm just going to respond to them, break them down, give my thoughts, add to them, stuff like that. This is mostly just going to be an audio-based video, so if you want to throw this on in the background while you do something else, totally fine. If not, enjoy the Mercenaries gameplay in the background. I won't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into the video. Our first one is from Ryan James Let's Go Mets. An ending that never gets resolved. Tired of those. We're never going to find out who approached Rose at the end of Village and possibly BSAA stuff. 100% agree with him. I talked about this in the other video of what people want in RE9, about how I hope they avoid this, and I 100% agree. As for who approached Rose at the end of Village, that was obviously Ethan. It was just like foreshadowing for Shadows of Rose. I won't spoil that anymore if you haven't played Shadows of Rose, but yeah, I think that was pretty obvious. But the BSAA stuff, it's criminal that they haven't elaborated on that whatsoever, and they probably never will. Because if Capcom doesn't elaborate something on in like the next game or two, they just drop it completely. The BSAA subplot of the BSAA using bioweapons to fight bioweapons could be its own game. It could be a Resident Evil 10 or a Revelations 3, and just have it star Chris and Jill, bring back the iconic duo from Resident Evil 1. It would be so good. You could even have an A and B scenario and have them cross over in, like, you know, actually crossover on like RE2 remake, or you could just have it be a co-op game with Chris and Jill. I think that would be awesome. But either way, this would be a great thing to include, great way to wrap up the series. I talked about it more in that other video, but it brings them full circle by putting the characters in the same position where they're betrayed by the institution that they originally trusted in Resident Evil 1, whereas in this game, it would be the same situation, but flipped on its head because it's an institution they helped start. So there's an added level of guilt to it. And I just think it's really interesting as far as just storytelling, like a full circle moment. And it's a good way to wrap up Chris and Jill's characters because it wraps up their biggest legacy in the Resident Evil universe. And it's them like fixing it or destroying it if they need to. I think it would be great. And there's a lot of storytelling potential here, and I really hope that they elaborate on it. Our next one is from Killswitch EXE TTV. The whole Wesker isn't dead theory. Don't get me wrong, I love Wesker as a villain, but the whole idea of him coming back would feel like Emperor Palpatine in the Star Wars trilogy. I forgot to clip it, but there was a comment that said somehow Wesker returned, like somehow Palpatine returned, and it was so funny. I don't know why people are wanting this so bad. Him and Spencer. I know I've been on the guy in the chair in Wesker's outfit is Spencer like trained, because it honestly, it makes the most sense. But that just because I think it's gonna happen doesn't mean I like it. You know, there's a difference. There's a difference between speculating what Capcom's actually gonna do and saying what I actually would like the story to be. I really hope that guy is Brandon Bailey, who's a character that's only in notes in Resident Evil 7. That was kind of the behind the scenes puppet master of that whole game. Such an interesting character, so underused. Same game director, so I really think that they're gonna tie that together, and I hope they do. I really hope they do, because if not, then that's another really good plot point that they just never develop again. I think it would be a massive disservice to Chris as a character if Wesker didn't die in Resident Evil 5. If you want a Wesker so badly, bring back Alex Wesker, because there's still precedent set for her to actually be alive, unlike Wesker, who was destroyed by 2 RPGs while in a volcano. And for people saying, but he had Ouroboros powers, he could have survived that. Ouroboros is weak to fire. He died in a volcano. The game stresses that it is weak to fire. You can only defeat the second Ouroboros boss with fire. You can only defeat the Excella Ouroboros boss with a death laser from space. You can only beat Wesker by drowning him in a volcano and shooting him with RPGs. I think it's well established that that was the only way to kill him. And if they undo it, he's basically just invincible. There's no other way to kill him. And it's stupid. So I really hope they don't bring him back. It would ruin Chris's character. It would make zero sense because they established well in that game that the only way to kill him is with lots of fire. And nothing is lots of fire like a volcano. So yeah, 100% agree with this person. Please, for the love of God, never bring back Wesker. I love Wesker, but he had his time. Just let it be. you want to bring back Wesker, remake RE5, or Code Veronica, or Resident Evil 1. It's not my fault you guys have been avoiding remaking games with Wesker in it. Like, that's all you, buddy. Our next one is from Lana's Vape Juice. Alyssa being the only callback to Outbreak. Those games were so ahead of their time, and I hope Alyssa isn't the only person we get to hear from. I don't know if this is just me on copium, massive amounts of copium, but I really think this game is gonna have a flashback Alyssa segment. I know it's gonna. It's gonna be like the Resident Evil 7 boat section, but actually good. Or like the Ashley section from Resident Evil 4 Remake, but where you do a little bit more. And what they're gonna do is they're gonna repurpose one of the old Outbreak scenarios. I'm guessing the laboratory one with the plant boss that takes place in the lab that's next to the RE2 lab, because they could just reuse the assets and the map layout and all that stuff. I really, really think they're going to do that. I'm fully expecting it. Either that or there will be like short flashes, like short 5-minute segments where you play as Alyssa for like each Outbreak scenario. And I know she wasn't in all of them, but we don't exactly know which one she was in. Like they could probably do the City Streets one where you're escaping from the bar. They could probably do the hospital one. That would be a little bit too similar to the Rhodes Hospital. So I don't think they'll actually do that one. Man, I'm blanking all the scenarios. The subway one. They could do the subway one. And then they could do the one in the Umbrella Labs. Those would be perfect. And then it would allow them to add like Kevin and Yoko and a bunch of other characters from that game and just give them new models. And then, because they make new models for them and give them voices, they could put those characters in Resident Evil Requiem Mercenaries and beef up the Mercenaries roster. And on top of this, we would get to play as young Alyssa with her cunty ass red suit and her cunty ass bob, and I would be overjoyed. Speaking of which, this has nothing to do with pretty much any of these comments, but I really hope Grace has an Alyssa Ashcroft like classic outfit she can wear. That would be so cool. I would love that so much. Yeah, I 100% agree. If they're gonna be bringing back an Outbreak character just for the sake of bringing back an Outbreak character, lean into it some more, develop the character, canonize Outbreak a little bit more, because right now I'm pretty sure it's canon, but it's just kind of hand waved as like side canon and only referenced in Easter eggs. So if you're gonna canonize it, lean into it, go all the way, commit, Capcom. Just commit. On top of this, if they make all of the bosses in the game be the old Outbreak survivors, I will be so sad. Someone mentioned this being a possibility in my Discord, and I'm like, fuck, that's a really good idea. God, I hope they don't do it. That would be so fucking sad. But the more I think about it, the more true that sounds. Maybe not every character, but probably not an insignificant amount of them they could do that with. And that sounds so sad, dude. Oh my god. Our next one is from Tyler Richardson. I don't want it to be open world. There were rumors a couple years ago that they would incorporate an open world element to it, and I think that would be a mistake. RE thrives on the narrow level design where it takes a little skill and patience to pass by enemies on another, larger way to get to the same place, but is slightly easier. Having it be too open can negate some of the core gameplay and makes it harder to design good areas to showcase the scares and the tension. Silent Hill 2 skates by this by having the open areas still be fairly linear, and by the fog obscuring most of what you can see. 1,000 million quadrillion % agree. I talked about this more in the other video I just released about what people want to see in RE9. I know I talked about a lot of stuff I don't want to see in the game in the video where I talked about stuff I want to see in the game, but that's just how conversational videos go. That's just what happens. I really think open world and Resident Evil are just two design languages that do not mix properly. It's like mixing oil and water. You can't do it. The things don't mix. Like, you can take elements from one or the other and put it in the other, but you can't go all the way with it. Like, you can do a semi-open world section with the lake, which I honestly don't think is as executed as well as people say, because it's mostly just running around collecting items and is mostly skippable. Resident Evil thrives when it's in linear, focused design, and just adding an open world element, I don't think it's gonna work super well. Capcom is welcome to prove me wrong if they want to, if they execute it properly. But as far as I've been convinced so far, and as far as they've marketed the game on being a linear experience, I would feel honestly tricked out of my money if I boot up the game, it's the linear segment where you're running away from the Hag as Grace, and then it's all open world. I would honestly be a little bit mad about that, because so far they've only marketed the game as a linear survival horror game, which is what I want from the game, because that's what they're marketing and that's what I've grown to like. So if they lie and say, hey, actually it's open world now, fuck you, I'm not gonna be too happy about that. As just a consumer that paid money for a product, you didn't give me the thing that you told me you were gonna give me. So like, why did you do that? And anyways, yeah, if the game is gonna be open world or semi-open world or whatever, they need to start marketing that, because if the rumors are to be believed that the Raccoon City segments of the game are semi-open world, Capcom, please tell me now so I don't open the game and just immediately get a waft of fart gas open world smell. It's going to be like the Pharaoh's curse. It's going to hit me in the face and I'm just going to be like, oh no. Oh god. It's going to be like getting flashbanged. As far as survival horror goes, I'm an open world hater. I'm someone that doesn't even like the open world elements in Rise and Shadow of the Tomb Raider. And I love Rise of the Tomb Raider. It's like one of my top 5 games. And I hate the open world shit in that game. It sucks. I don't like it. It doesn't work with the design language of the Tomb Raider franchise. Where that game shines is when you're in the linear segments with light puzzle solving and fun action. It's just like... Anyways, I've ranted about this for way too long. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. Capcom, please no open world. I'm good. Our next one is from Hunter UJ4FO. The bullet spongy enemies of RE8. Really disliked how many shots it took to kill a basic enemy. It's not the amount of shots that I don't mind. It's the lack of reaction that I mind. The enemies in RE8 are like those people on TikTok that are eating like 100 century eggs, no reaction. They're literally as scary as those people are. Or like eating 2 pounds of honeycomb, no reaction. Or like eating 5 onions, no reaction. That's what Resident Evil Village enemies are like, and it scares me. And not in the good Resident Evil scary way. In like a get away from me, I don't want to interact with you type of way. Because an enemy that just tanks all of my very valuable bullets in a Resident Evil game and doesn't react, it's like, okay, why did I spend time collecting those bullets if you're not even going to give a shit? Like, what's the trade-off here? Like, I receive less ammo, you receive nothing. Like, that's not a trade. That's not a trade. I've never been a fan of this game design philosophy in literally anything. Like, I don't think I've ever praised a game for having enemies not react to when I shoot them. Resident Evil Village enemies genuinely feel like trying to fight an armored enemy in a modern Call of Duty campaign. It's the most miserable experience ever, because it's just the metal like clink sound 20 times and then they finally die. Whereas in like older games, it was like a couple and they would actually react when I shot them. And it was nicer. It was more fun. And it was still difficult. It just, I don't know. I hate this design language. Please don't do it in Resident Evil Village unless it's like a stalker enemy that's immune to bullets. That's fine. But I would still prefer they react and just be like, hey, why are you shooting me, buddy? Maybe don't do that. You know, I don't like being shot at particularly. I'm just a henchman. Please do not attack me. Like, you could just have them react like that in a funny way. Our next one is from Cody Stevenson. Boss fights where the only gimmick is shoot the glowing spot with your rifle and magnum. He mentioned some other stuff, but this is the one that I wanted to focus on. I don't know if it's just because I recently replayed RE2R and RE4R back to back, but oh my god, the difference in design language for the bosses is literally night and day. Because in Resident Evil 2 Remake, it's literally just run around, shoot the eyeball, run around, shoot the eyeball, run around, shoot the eyeball, and then you win. And it's honestly really fucking boring. Like, I love Resident Evil 2 Remake. The bosses are not a highlight in that game. Aside from the final boss fight with Claire fighting the final Birkin stage and the Leon final boss. Those are the only 2 really standout bosses in that game. But even then, they fall victim to this design language. And then you have Resident Evil 4 Remake, where you have the most dynamic bosses, like, in the whole series. They're so good. Village is also pretty okay at this. Not as good as Resident Evil 4 Remake, but I do respect how good they are at it. In Resident Evil 4 Remake, you have the Menendez boss. Menendez. Suffer with me, Leon. No, you have the Mendez boss fight. And that boss fight's really good. Doesn't rely on you hitting a weak point, but he does have one if you want to speed up the boss fight. But you can do it perfectly fine without it. You have the Krauser fights, which you don't really need to shoot an glowing weak spot for. You have the Verdugo boss fight, which he doesn't really have a weak spot, and you have to actively lure him into an area to activate his whole body being a weak spot. Or you can just run away from him and avoid him. The only bosses that I can think of off the top of my head that are actually just shoot the weak spot is Sadler and Salazar. All the rest aren't really like that. And it just made the game so much more refreshing because each boss was completely different from each other. It was awesome. And it made it so much more fun and dynamic, and it helps separate the villains if they're weak in different ways. Because it's like, yeah, this guy was a unique challenge as well as a unique character that makes him more memorable. So if they want the bosses to really stand out in this game, I really think they need to take notes from Resident Evil 4 Remake as far as the bosses go. Because they nailed it there. They nailed it in separate ways. It's just perfect from top to bottom. Except Del Lago. Capcom, I beg of you, please don't just greet me with 9 Birkenau fights. Please. Our last one is from Octavio Francino 434. I honestly don't want an RE7 boat section if you get my drift. That shit killed the pace for me a good 30 to 45 minutes. As the resident RE7 boat section hater on YouTube, yes, I agree. It's such a pace breaker. And pace breakers can be good. Like, you have the Ashley pace breaker in Resident Evil 4 Remake that's really good. You have the Ada and Sherry pace breakers that are pretty alright. And you have the Carlos pace breakers in Resident Evil 3 Remake, which are debatably the best parts of the whole game, aside from the COD Zombies hospital defense section. Resident Evil 1, you have the Rebecca pace breaker. Resident Evil 5 has that horrible turret segment pace breaker. Resident Evil 6 has, I think each section has its own goddamn horrible vehicle section. Oh my god. I'm an RE6 defender, but those vehicle sections, man, holy. But anyway, the game is still a 10 out of 10 because you can microwave zombies, baby. You can microwave zombies in Resident Evil 6. But anyways, I think they need to have a section like this just so the game doesn't feel like eating a steak with no fat on it. But you really gotta, like, hone in how it fits in the story. And I think having very short, like, flashback segments to, like, Alyssa in the Outbreak games, or even if the game just shifts perspectives to another legacy character, like is rumored, god, man, I'm so excited to go back and rewatch these videos that I'm making on Resident Evil Requiem before it comes out, after the game comes out, just to see how badly they age. I'm so excited. Anyways, yeah, they really need to nail this because they've been kind of okay at it so far, aside from Resident Evil 7. But Resident Evil 7's was so astronomically horrible that I still worry about it, even though it hasn't been that bad since then and has only gotten better. But I just can't get that out of my head. The RE7 boat section, it's just so bland. It's just so boring. And so repetitive. It's so repetitive. But yeah, that was our last one. I didn't include too many just because I ranted about each one for a pretty good while, and I didn't want these videos to be too long because it's just me rambling about your guys' opinions. It doesn't need to be some video essay length thing. Yeah, let me know what you guys thought in the comments. Feel free to discuss. I do read all my comments, so if you guys want to discuss, be nice. But just know I will also, like, read your comment and stuff, and if I feel like responding, I will. And I do like comments and read all of them and stuff like that. I do have channel memberships if you'd like to support me more directly, on top of liking and subscribing and all that jazz. Greatly appreciate all of you so very much. And if you would like to request a video, I do have a video request tier as well. And then if you get that tier, you can just contact me on Discord and we can talk about what video you would like. Speaking of memberships, shout out to all my members scrolling on the left side of the screen right now. The Epic Rager, One's One Up, Casual Mode, Mal Plays, and Stoop Kid. And a super mega extra special shout out to my malevolent residents of the channel, DD Teepus TTV, Aircromp Cromer, Rosemary, and Tim Just Me Really. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Stay evil, my residents.